Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to the second episode of an Expo and Excellence podcast. Today I have my very special guests, my two brethren from the 2022 championship team, Nationals. We won last year in Vegas, Giovanni Adames and Thomas Bradburn. I want to get right into it with both of you. How did you guys get to CINY? I'm going to start on my left with Thomas. How'd you get into culinary? How'd you decide to come to Culinary Institute of New York? All of that good stuff.
All right. It all started with cooking in my mother's kitchen, and she taught me just about all the basics. And then I think it was when I came for orientation, and the 2021 student team was at Orlando for their national competition. And I was speaking to Chef Monsanto. He used to go here as a chef, and he was doing the whole orientation thing and everything like that. And he was like, "Oh yeah, our team right now, they're competing in Orlando. We should be finding out how they do in a few hours. Blah 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 blah." And that right then and there, just that saying knew that I wanted to come here and I wanted to be on this team. And we were on the team. We won. And I'd like to say something to what you just said. Right now, I feel kind of like, not stuck, but we came here and we did everything that was my dream to do, and we accomplished it in less than a year. So right now, I kind of feel stuck, and I'm not sure where I'm at in my life. And,
It's like what comes after.
Yeah, what comes after.
Yeah. But I remember specifically when you came here, he was like, I don't know if he said it to you, but he was like, I'm addicted to competition.
Yes.
He was like, I'm absolutely a competition fanatic. I would do competition till I die.
Yes.
You still feel that way?
Yes. I did a bunch of competitions in my high school year, and I won one Skills USA for Long Island, and because that year they didn't have it for New York. It was COVID, so they only did it in Long Island. And then I did America's Best, got second place, and then Kaylin Figueroa, our teammate, beat me. But it's all a learning experience, and then came here and won nationals. So
100%. Pass it over to you, Gio. I mean, how'd you get to Culinary Institute of New York? How'd you eventually make your way to the team, the culinary journey?
So for me, it all started in elementary school. My grandfather first started introducing butchery to me. So during the summer, he would take me to Steve Prime's Meats, where he used to work at. And from there on out, I just got a passion and love for almost fabricating proteins, cooking in general,
butcher.
And from there on out, I tried this elementary school cooking program, and then from there I went to high school. I was introduced to BOCES. I had my guidance counselor. She knew that I liked culinary a lot, and she introduced me to the BOCES program. And from there on out, I met Rosella Cangelosi, which also is a former team member from here.
Yeah. Awesome. We're all actually, the three of us are actually the BOCES kids, right? From the New York BOCES programs. I mean, for me, COVID really hindered it. I don't know.
Definitely.
You guys do?
yes.
100%. I mean, junior year towards then, shot. And then senior year, it was like the motivation wasn't there for the teachers, for the students. You guys feel that?
I mean, for me, it was a little different. Rosella, she still tried to bring out the best out of you and everything.
Especially someone like you, who she saw so much in.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
100%. I mean, when you guys got here, it was like, was it I'm going to join the team kind of thing?
I was scared of competition at first. I never competed in my life until I came to college.
I'm with you there. He's the only one he actually had a couple competitions under his belt, but we were definitely newbies, 100%.
Yeah. Chef Rosie, she really took me out of my shoes, if you know what I mean, and introduced me to competition. She's like, what's the worst that you can say? No, if you know what I mean. And, I took it a shot, and here I am. Yeah, and now rewind a little bit before the team, right? We had to have met somewhere. Now, where did we meet? I know where I remember meeting both of you, but I don't know. His story might be different than mine of meeting him. But I know for a fact, Thomas, we met when we used to live in Huguenot in the dorms. We met at the dinner, and we were the only two, that stayed to actually clean up afterwards.
Yes.
And I was like, who's this nerd, bro?
Yeah, you
right?
called me a nerd.
No, I didn't call you a nerd. I just thought about it, you know?
Yeah, and then Dean introduced us. He was like, this is Converse student, Thomas.
Do you have a feeling some sort of way, because you were meeting the dean's son, obviously?
I didn't know you were the dean's son at that moment until he said, oh yeah, this is my son. I was like, interesting. But I never really felt any type of way about it. I knew I had to be cautious around you a little bit, but
Face value.
Yeah.
You took it at face value.
Yeah.
You?
We met in culinary class.
I think I remember meeting in Cole 1 lab.
Yeah.
And Chef P, love him, but I didn't know him as well at the time, right? And he's putting me in like the forefront of like the Cole 1 class. He's like, he's calling me like he's known me for 10 years, which he has, but it was like, you know, and everyone was like, why is this kid
who is
getting
this
like
kid? Yeah.
preferential treatment? And I remember Drew just goes and he's like, you Dean's son? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, got you.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
And it was love from there, right?
Yeah.
It was all love from there.
you remember when we met each other?
Yeah, I don't even know how you two met.
In my room, in my living room in Huguenot. He came up to help me with my printer because my printer was
Oh,
not
yes.
And then
I forgot you had a printer.
Yeah.
Oh my
He had a
God.
white HP printer. He called me. He's like, hey, can you help me out? I'm trying to print out this term paper. I go up there.
Oh my
We
God.
try to put the Wi-Fi and figure out you couldn't put any Wi-Fi on there because it was an actual router to the building. So he was stuck out without printing
I had to
the
use
paper.
my hotspot on my phone. But he kept begging me to send him the application for the team, like to be on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I
You
always,
couldn't scan a QR code?
I had it
had
because I had it and I always forgot to tell him. And then he would always come up to me and be like, yo, can you send me this? So I feel like in the beginning he almost didn't like me because I never sent him.
Because you never actually sent them anything, right? Oh my God! But I mean, eventually, it was we had a couple like pre-practices, right? Which I think we were all there for. Or was there one
Yeah.
with just the three of us? I think there was one with me, him, and Kennedy only, if I'm not mistaken.
There was a couple where it was just me and you.
Dude, no, that was the first one. It was just me and you.
And then we did a dish.
Yes.
And then Rashawn, Mia, and Lucas helped us with that. With
Yeah.
the past teammates.
The past
The
teammates.
past team.
The only time I remember us watching practice when I was there was when I believe it was us three plus Kennedy, and I was watching Naya do her fish dish.
Yes, it was,
That's the one I remember. He had
Yes.
us try Dean had us try the figs
Yeah.
and the different types of
Yes.
chocolate and
Yes,
some other stuff. I remember that. And then we went to go get pupusas at the
Yeah.
Salvadorian place. I believe so. Yeah. When we were we had a weird team dynamic because most of the teams they come in, they're apprentices for the former core team, which usually was the former apprentice team. So it would be their first time competing. They helped out the former team for a full year, and then they get to go do it. But for us, the previous team we kind of saw that kind of fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys have like a feeling a certain way when that happened? And it was like, well, I guess it's just us now, right? And we don't really have a mentor or mentors or apprentices that we can be like, oh, you know, what's up? We just had the five of us and Dean, you know. There's nothing to compare it to, but like, how'd you guys feel like going into that?
I mean,
You go first.
Okay. Seeing this was probably like an opportunity, like, okay, it's time to kick in gear where the first team to get straight into it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And it was-
prove ourselves.
It was definitely to prove myself.
Yeah,
if you know
and
what I
all
mean.
freshmen. I'm similar.
You know me. I like to get my toes wet. You know, I like to do
Yeah.
things that are out of my comfort zone. Like you see. what
That's
I
the
do
only
in
way you
back
grow.
of kiosk.
I've always said that.
So I was just excited after that when I found out that
Yeah.
we were the first team that weren't apprentices
Yeah.
and we were all freshmen, which is the biggest thing. We won nationals as a
Yeah.
freshman team,
Of just 5.
Mhm.
Most teams have like 10 usually.
and it was the first of this school to win nationals.
Yeah,
The first
100%.
team.
But let's get into that. I mean, training camp. I mean, like, how was training camp? I mean, we'll get into some specifics in a little bit, but if you guys can give me an overall little glimpse into training camp, I'm going to start with Thomas.
It wasn't very long, even though it was.
It wasn't?
It was long if you put it in calendar.
It was April, May.
If you put it in calendar, it wasn't long. But I'm talking about actually
It
doing
felt
it.
quick,
It was
like-
not.
Oh yeah,
long.
we started
It
in
was
like
not long.
May. We started in like the beginning of
No,
May.
calendar-wise, it was long.
It was short. Calendar-wise, it was short, but it felt like forever. I guess
No,
would be.
no, it didn't feel long.
You don't think it felt long?
No,
felt
calendar-wise,
long.
it looked long, and then
You
we had
kinda just-
so many practices.
Yeah.
Right? We sometimes practice 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
then-
like we'd set up for a practice, have it,
3 days in a row.
reset, morning after. I remember a couple practices, it was like midnight, reset up next day in at 7 a.m. doing another practice.
Yep.
You know, because we had to do it because for me, this is just the reality. Our team was some really dedicated people, were people who wanted to succeed, but there definitely was like, we had to work to get there.
Yeah.
There are some culinarians that are just like, in my mind, there are some culinarians that are just like, they kind of have it. You see like Vanessa, you see like these people just came in, they kind of had something, but with us, it's like, we have to work, we have to practice, we have to keep going and keep going, and like, that if you guys agree, like, does that get to you sometimes, like, mentally? Do you guys feel like it's like, why do I have to work so hard to, like, get to a place where I can finally do something? And it feels like other people don't even have to try that much. I mean, where's your guys? That's how I can think sometimes. But where do you guys think?
I personally feel like everybody has their own road, their own path. I would never want to compare myself to anybody else, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's more so it's me against me, if you know.
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying.
definitely the best mentality to have, 100%. I mean, you?
I'd say more before I grew into the person I am now. It might have bothered me, but it doesn't really bother me much. 'Cause I know what I'm capable. We know what we're capable of.
100%, and no one can take away the things we did, right?
Sure.
Yes, we wrote some history.
So we did. Not only did we do practice and team stuff, but at the same time we were running a 5-man fine dining lab. In the second half of the semester, there were 2 menus, and I want and include practices and highlights. What the big one is? What was the time that Dean got the maddest at you? What was the time that Dean was like, "I've had it with this kid"? I have guesses for both of you. My guess with him is the carrots. My guess,
It was definitely the
we're gonna get to that in a minute. My guess with you is there was one practice he just blew a gasket on you. Like
that
he
was the last time I was on saute.
Was that really the last time you were on saute? Was he like, "This is why you get off saute" or something like that?
That was rough. He was like, "This is my team, son. Blah 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 blah. Don't try to change things on my menu. I've been doing this for so many years.
Yeah.
I know what is what." I was like, "Okay, sorry."
Looking back on that, do you feel like you needed to hear that?
Yeah, because it definitely made me work harder. I felt like I let him down. I never want to let Dean down because he's like a father figure in my life. And yeah, that it really is. It's not even I let you guys down a little bit, but it's more like Dean. I don't want to ever let Dean down.
I think our team had very much like we're doing this like not only for ourselves. Of course, we're doing it for ourselves to be better chefs, but we're doing it because Dean deserved that medal. We're doing it because Dean deserved another his first national championship. We always said that.
Yeah.
We always said at the end of the day, we're like a huge part of it is we're doing it for him. But the carrot story, you gotta elaborate, man. You gotta elaborate.
Okay, so
There was one singular.
Yeah.
I remember there was one singular tear coming down. But
I was on pasta veg, and I was making Vichy carrots. It was a 2 to order, I believe, and I messed up one order, and then the second order I did Vichy incorrectly. So
you messed up 2.
Yeah. So once he saw that, he basically grabbed the carrots, looked at them, and just tossed them in my stove. And then from there, he just started yelling at me, and then it was basically I just took it off. You know what I mean? Just kept going.
So I got a couple, right? I got a couple. So we could talk about. Well, okay. Are we including if we're not including dining lab and team practice? There's another training camp, which is April, which is probably the maddest he's ever been. Yeah. Oh yeah. But I don't know like what we're including.
Do you remember
here.
that one too?
We can include everything.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we had April competition, our second competition. I was doing I had the Greek trio for the chicken, and this might have been 5 or 6 practices in. I asked for a time check because I couldn't. I'm always in the middle station.
The day Chef Emily was there, right?
I think so.
Okay, yes.
Maybe.
No, it was not.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
This was a different day.
Rashawn was there.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
But-
Rashawn was there.
I was on that station where you can't see the clock because of the pole, right? So I was like, I asked for a time check, and someone's like, I think like Dean said like 8 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what that.
8 minutes to what?
But I was like 8 minutes till what? You got to be more clear. And I was like, because I was angry. I said it in an angry way, and I learned from that. I'm always learning that I need to control myself. I mean, the worst thing I ever done, you know. I mean, I really almost hurt you in dining lab. I really did. It's 90% my fault, 10% his, but it's 90% my fault. You have to rush me on the roulade. I know what parlaying is. It was a parlay. So I had the oil in the pan, right? I was gonna go in with the butter, but before I could make that movement, you're like, that's not a parlay. You're on the passive. You're trying to dictate. You don't know what you're doing, man. You don't know what's. Pass me on that. Yeah. Pass me on that, right? So I take the butter out of the water, right in the pan. Big flames pop up and it burns him. Do you still have the scars?
Yeah, I have them right here.
Oh no!
Right here.
How bad did that hurt?
With the 2 eyes. I mean, I had the burn for about like 3 weeks.
It's rough.
I didn't feel that at first because of the adrenaline. I was like, all right, let's just keep going.
And you were the thing I admire about you so much is you're so cool about it. You weren't mad at least you didn't show it at all.
No.
Like, you were not mad in this. You were like, bro, part of my feeling was like, I would have done the same thing if Thomas said that to me. You know what I mean? I would
mad
have.
after, though.
He probably was, but like I felt so bad. He's like, nah, you're good. I'm like, ain't no way, bro. Like, if I was him, you know, I'm slapping me. You know.
The thing about me is that if I did cause a little scene, that would have made the situation worse. And we're in the middle of service. So
But not many people can think that clearly in their mind at the time. It's an emotional reaction. People would get mad, but the fact that you're able to keep your cool in that kind of scenario, when you're confronted with, especially when you're confronted with confrontation, the last thing you'll ever do is get angry at the other person.
Yep.
Someone, when they make you angry, I'm like, they messed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're that kind of person, and that's a huge characteristic. And this is gonna sound weird, but it's really true, of a butcher. I mean, that feels like the number one thing of that methodical kind of approach to things, like calm under pressure, like very intricate movements and all of that. So that's why, I mean, you were the only person who stayed on the same station the entire time.
Yeah.
But what was your guys' reaction when we were halfway through? You were on saute, I was on knife cuts. Kaylin was on salad, Kennedy on pastry, and we flip-flopped all around. Kennedy on saute, you on knife cuts, replacing me. I go to salad where Kaylin was. Kaylin goes to dessert. I mean, at first, eventually, obviously, I think we all were like, this was obviously the right choice.
Yeah.
But at first, were you guys hesitant? Were you guys like, I don't know how this is going to work out? I have a feeling he felt a certain type of way about it, but you're the only person that didn't move. So how did you feel knowing everyone else around you was having to be moved around and you were kind of staying in the same place?
Thinking about it, I had trusted you guys because I had faith in the team. I expected you guys to like meet the standards that you guys had the role and the change and everything, and it was definitely like night and day with me watching y'all.
Like
change
with watching, that's interesting. I mean, like, I feel like 2 practices in, it was like we already eclipsed what we had, right?
Sure.
100%. We were stuck. We were so stuck. And I felt every week in salad, I was getting better. Knife cuts, I felt disorganized. I felt like I was not doing the same thing every time. I felt like I was being inconsistent, which is all on me, 100%. I made those mistakes. And I think changing me, and I was like, to be honest, I'm the slowest on knife cuts, easily out of the 5. I mean, at least compared to you two, maybe the girls, I'm like speed-wise, I'm around there. But you guys are definitely faster than me on knife cuts, 100%, especially him. I mean, he rapid goes through that shit. So,
Speaking of knife cuts, you guys remember when I cut the knuckle off my finger off?
Was that after Dean showed you how to do it, and then he cut his knuckle off?
We cut at the same time. Same time.
Oh my God, whose was worse?
It was pretty bad. Both of ours. We had both of our knuckles.
Because you're training to do the. Okay.
We were basically trying to like really thinly slice the Fennel Crispies, and from there on out, we took the knuckle off from right here. Both of our skins were flapping. Mine was completely off. So he was like, "Son, grab your piece of skin. Let's go to the med kit." And I put it back together, basically put the antiseptic, wrapped it, and kept going.
Always. I remember when we did. This is back, right? We're taking a joke back. When we did the cold food platter as that practice, mandolin, boom, tip of my finger. Wu was here, and she was concerned, but all I could think. Let me back in. We were prepping. We were prepping it for the next day, and I was like, let me back in right now. But by the time it didn't stop bleeding. By the time I pretended like it stopped bleeding, because I wanted to just go back in.
Your glove was full of blood?
We were done, and then we went to pizza that day. That was our first little like team thing, the 5 of us. And I remember I went back to the dorm. I take off that glove. There's blood down to here on my hand. I'm like this. Like just right off the tip of my middle finger. I remember that. It was probably my worst.
That one was.
Yeah. Remember when you were there for that? You and Chanel helped me when I pulled back on the plastic wrap and the knife went like that right into my. I still have the mark on my hand.
Were we in nationals together?
No, that was we were training for December. We were training for knife cuts and I was dessert. You were dessert and then you were duck. What was the maddest you've been or the most upset you've been in the kitchen throughout our whole journey?
I think about that one.
The most upset was when both of you guys were upset at me because I didn't have my glasses. And
I don't remember being mad at you because you didn't have glasses.
No,
because
the inside out.
Inside out.
Is that why you turned the skin inside out?
I couldn't see. Physically.
I didn't know. Did you know that?
That he didn't have glasses?
I didn't know that was the reason.
Yeah, he brought it up on his argument.
I don't even remember that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm trying to think of it.
You couldn't squint? Like,
I couldn't see anything, man.
Yeah, I mean, the chicken skin inside out. I mean, for me, I guess my thought process at the time was like, you're the only person who's done this the most. Like, you're the only person who's been at your station the whole time. and you're making a mistake like that, I was like, we were 2 practices away. I was scared, and I was like, we have to get our stuff together now. It's now or never. We can't have a lousy last practice and go and just hope for the best. We have to end strong. And the last 2 practices followed that, and it was our first 90, followed by our first, 93, I believe?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the day when we had a 93, because that was, our last practice was so special to me, because we were doing it in front of that whole class. Like the biggest, there were 2 classes, there was one on the other side, but there was a huge Col 3 class going on at that time. And it was like, it was packed, right? We had to make people move and all that. Yeah. And getting people to watch that, and then them still being there for our reaction to get in. I mean, we like jumped into each other's arms.
Of people came and watched us that day too. I remember Shirley.
Yeah,
we all got soaked in.
Yeah, we dumped water on people. I mean, that was some of the most excited I've been, 100%.
It was definitely a really nice run too, because we did have some situations going on. Like the Jaleel wasn't setting in time.
For which one?
For the last one.
Yeah. They put on dry ice.
I was finished.
Yeah.
You and Caleb did it.
We put it on dry ice. I remember that. It worked.
Yeah.
Since I was finished with my path, basically, I had a little bit of extra time. So you guys had me put the Jaleel on dry ice, and from there we took everything, and we made it on time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, on time, right? It was the only time we were ever on time.
Did we burn the pistachios?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we did many like mistakes
After
like that.
we fixed the pistachios, we really didn't.
Yeah, we didn't burn them. I mean,
that was definitely probably that, and the tart was the hardest thing for us to keep.
The tart was always the tart. Since I did it, I mean, I can just say from experience that was rough. I mean, it's just in and out of the freezer constantly. You really have to manipulate the dough to do what you want. You have to donut it and cut it on top, form it, like on the inside and outside. You have to like push it together. It needs to be loose enough so we can push it together. I found out it needs to be like room temp so you can connect them and then put it back in the freezer. Have it set like that. You're always in and out with that, and you're doing stuff in between. So I'd be doing something timer off, right? And Kaylin and me were doing timers, but timer went off and boom, I'm going back in the freezer. I was in the middle of lasaging something. I was in the middle of using the Parisian or something like that. But vinaigrette, well, the vinaigrette wasn't as much, but I mean, that was always a hassle. What's the hardest thing you guys had to do in your runs?
Mine were
roulade, probably, right? I would imagine it's through roulade.
It would either be roulade or chopped in Fenny Crispies as thin as possible.
Oh yeah, I forgot you had a hand. I don't know it was a hand.
It was something for basically like the social school.
Oh yeah, makes sense. It's craftsmanship, 100%.
You don't think the portions of the fish was difficult?
It was too
We didn't get that for a while.
Yeah, but you have to realize when you were off saute, did you get the Knife Cuts got the portions of the fish, or saute did? Saute did, so you didn't see them in the second half as much. So you probably didn't see as much of the improvement, I would guess, because you are Knife Cuts halfway through. So I'm assuming you got better stuff towards the end. But yeah, the Mattis, I think we went over the Mattis. That was, you mentioned your story about the roulade. You said you had to think about. I know mine.
My maddest.
I definitely don't mind.
The maddest I've ever been in the kitchen was probably when Dean was teaching a class and everybody was like not doing anything. I think it was a Code 3 class. And
our class?
No, it was before UTA. He taught a class and no one was doing anything for him. And then
Was this during nationals?
no, it was this year. It might have been like first semester. And there was piles of dishes. I piled some, and I went over to the students. I was like,
that was healthy.
Okay, so maybe he covered that time.
I don't even know if he was around that. I thought that was a Chef P's class.
He taught the class.
He taught that. He probably covered the class then. Because I feel like I remember that it was a nutrition.
I said to him, how you have the dean according to you were teaching your class and you were just sitting down on dishes.
Yeah, man.
Oh no, he was washing the dishes.
Yeah. Dude, that's the most heartbreaking thing that I like. Seeing him wash dishes, like having to wash other people's dishes, that's the most heartbreaking thing that's ever. I feel like a failure when that happens. I feel like I have to step out and have to do something. I don't want to see him ever doing that because he should never have to do that.
And I yelled at the students.
Yeah, you got really mad at them. I remember. But for me, I mean, do you guys remember the Parisian? I mean, how could you?
Who could forget?
How could you forget? Who was there? It was Matt. It was my roommate Matt. It was a couple other people were there. I think Brianna was there. I think maybe Enrique, definitely Chanel was there. I mean, I mean, I lost. The reality is, looking back, like it really didn't matter that much. Like I could have just like I don't need. That's the least important. Like like it's gonna be critiqued from the plate, but at the end of the day, like once we get the school back, like it'll be fine. Like I know how to Parisian. So it was like, but I guess for me, that was one of the last practices, I think. I want to say that was like 4th or 5th last. Right? That was when we were getting better, 100%. Like we were kind of hitting a stride. Yeah. And I felt like I just set the team back. I feel like I ruined us. And then after I got upset, I feel like I ruined you guys even more. But for me, when I get mad, it's like I see red in that kind of way. It's like I just get so mad, and that's something I'm trying to control. I mean, the butter thing with you when I burnt you, that situation, and tons of other kitchen situations. I mean, I've been known to get the mad easily. It's not even a competition. So I'm trying to figure out a way to, and I'm still to this day, I think I'm getting better. Every day, I think I'm getting a little bit better, trying to control that like emotional, that high emotions, and the way that expresses itself. I mean, do you guys have any like tips for that, or just general advice on like how do you do that
without getting mad?
How do you prevent yourself from like showing that kind of like snappy like anger, that immediate emotional reaction when something happens that upsets you?
Mine would definitely be looking at the situation and assessing it. Is it really worth getting angry at the current moment? Is it really worth making the scene? Is it, how can I explain it? Would it be worth it in the long run to do that instead of just finding the situation, solving it, and just carrying on? I feel like you getting upset, it's just like it exerts too much energy from you. Definitely was something that was a very big obstacle for you during competitions, obviously. But I mean, I don't think it's something that you won't overcome. I truly believe you will overcome this.
100%. I appreciate that.
I know everybody talks to everybody in the kitchen, so if you make a scene like that or anything in the kitchen, and I'm not saying like it's bad to do, because we definitely all done it. Like we've all
it's unavoidable at points, right?
When you're stressed, it happens sometimes. But everybody talks to everybody, not only in the school but in the culinary industry. If you lash out like that, everybody knows, and you think about the name that you're making for yourself.
100%. That reputation. Yes. Like, you don't want that reputation. It's a reputation I definitely think I garnered for myself a little bit, but I think I think I'm kind of correct.
Straying away from that.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, you're young.
100%. Chef T tells me that all the time. All the love to him.
And
he's always like, you're young.
Yeah,
I mean, how could I not be in my situation?
I know.
Yeah, but nationals, I mean, the trip, the day of, Vegas, everything crazy, jumping right to it. I mean, frozen chicken, frozen fish, everything, the works, no bowls, right? We didn't have the bowls. We had, Kaylin kind of, got very upset we didn't have the bowls. Our fault, we didn't pack them,
Must have been their fault.
It's debatable. It's 50-50, but, could have been our fault. But, I mean, when you guys found out, like 20, 30 minutes before on that, both our proteins were frozen. I mean, what was your reaction?
Oh, I didn't know what to do at that point.
Because I had an interesting one.
Chef P, when he first told me, because Chef P, I was the first one to know. So when Chef P called me over,
I thought Dean found Chef P was the first to find out?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was me, Dean. It was me and Chef P, and basically, as soon as we got the fish is it's a very thin piece of protein, basically, defrosted within time. We put that under. The chicken was definitely the biggest issue. We didn't have a second chicken, backup chicken. Thank God Jill was there, and she supplied us.
Very helpful lady.
Basically, the most perfect chicken I've ever had for my run.
Yeah, we could not get good chickens. I mean, when you're making a roulade, you need like a very specific, depending on what you're doing with that roulade, you need a specific size of chicken. Do you want that perfect skin coverage? I mean, that chicken was probably the best we've gotten, but I'm gonna be honest. My reaction was like, thank God I'm not fabricated. I do not have to deal with this issue, right? Like, thank God my whatever I got, my veg isn't frozen, you know what I mean? That because I was on salad. I mean, that was my reaction. I was like, they're gonna figure it out. And if they don't, I mean, I don't gotta deal with that in the run, so I don't really know. At that point, that was all I could do to keep myself calm. Was like, I can't think about this because I can't do anything to solve this. I have to count on my coach. I have to rely on my coach. I have to trust him. I have to trust my co-coach. I have to trust the facility. I have to trust my teammates that we're gonna get this done. I will do anything to ensure that gets done. But at the end of the day, I didn't think there was anything I could necessarily do to like fix that issue. And before I even could really process what was happening, like we were like, we're good. We got it under control. right? It was like in and out, like boom, 2 seconds we had that. But I know you guys feel the same way. We've never been more calm going into a run than we were going into nationals.
Yeah,
I mean, the absolute confidence. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a 93. I don't know if it was just like this is the culmination of everything that we've done. We're just like we're here to do it, and we know what we gotta do. For me, it was like I know my run, I know my path, I know what I gotta do. I'm gonna do it. I've done everything right before. There's no reason why I can't do it again. The kitchens were nice, other than the fridge being a little too close to me, and you all keep opening it on me while I'm trying to cut something. Other than that, I did fall on the floor during nationals. I fell on the floor 100%.
I have a picture of you on the floor.
You need to send it to me because I don't have
a
it.
picture of him in the freezer right on the floor.
No, I fell like in the middle.
In the middle of the
yeah.
run, he was just.
Wasn't it set up? I feel like it was set up window.
It might have been set up.
It might have been set up window, but I definitely fell at some point.
There's a picture of him just sitting on the floor at this fridge. Yeah.
When did you guys first learn about the notorious camera wink I did? I did a nice, you know,
as soon as
into the camera. You know what I'm saying?
as soon as we got out.
Because your parents recorded that. I have the video because your parents.
My mom was watching it on TV, and she records it, and she calls me. She was like, "Oh, look, Frankie did this and that," and she was laughing. And then had other family members. She's like, "Isn't this Frankie?" He was like, "No way, he was blinking."
Yeah, right. I mean, that was my poison. That's my confidence. I had a camera on my face. I'm like, I gotta do something. I was like, I gotta do something. He's pointing it right at me. I'm like, I just wink at the camera. Like it was a moment. But I mean, getting that. We were all sitting down. By the time the gala came around, a couple days later, our critique we felt great about. I mean, a couple things, but we were like, this is a critique right here. Like, Dean came out of that saying, like, this is the best critique I've ever gotten. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I felt confident in that fact, but I didn't want to overexert my confidence. Mr. Optimism over here did not feel that way whatsoever. He's just like, we won, let's go home now. Like, we don't even need to show up to the gala. Like, we can just go. We won. Collect our trophy. Give it to us now. I'm pretty sure you said something similar to that.
I mean, it's being the sanitarian as for the team. I looked everywhere else and I saw, I mean, with all due respect to other teams, I saw how sanitary some people were.
Yeah,
for example,
100%.
The military team was also making roulade, and they decided to scoop out the force meat that they filled it with their hand and toss it inside of the bus.
Yeah. I don't think we realized what a different level we were on until we really got there. I mean, looking at the other teams, we were like, they're not even, not one had an entremet, from my memory. I mean, it was Swiss rolls, it was all this, not one had the craftsmanship with an entremet. And that, dessert's always the telltale sign for me because you can look at two desserts and just be like, one's on another level. Based off the concept alone. Like other entrees and stuff, you could have more intricate stuff, but with desserts, it's like you kind of, there could be more to it, but you kind of get what you see. You kind of get what you feel.
You could definitely put up a very simple entremet and still get higher points than what we did because of the mistake that we made.
We made a huge mistake because we were pressed for time.
And
all the credit to Caitlin. I know why she did what she did. She tried to save the tempered truffle, but it was not tempered properly. Might have had to do with the fact, totally different environment, totally different humidity, and the air conditioning was pumping into that. I never thought I'd be cold in a run like that. That's never what I prepared for. I was like, I'm kind of chilly in here because they pumped all the air conditioning. 7 of them, no sleep, like exhausted, but like that, not even a second wind, like a fifth wind of energy at that point. I remember I still have the video. I mean, 2 a.m. was 8 red pepper flakes. Yes. This, yes,
I felt like
you know?
We sounded like zombies.
Yeah, like 2 a.m. That was 2 a.m. the night before. It's crazy.
I felt like I was hallucinating.
Yeah, it was like you feel almost like a little like uppity kind of thing.
Dean was not joking when he said you're gonna have to cook on.
You're gonna cook on full instinct, like you just know it because you can't make those kind of. You're just exhausted. And our plane ride. I mean, we're looking at nationals now. If you compare to now, I mean, they got the nice 11 a.m. No, it was like a 2 p.m. flight. You know, landed in at a nice time. We had like some awful flights. I mean, like the flight there was the most uncomfortable thing.
Spirit Airlines?
That was horrible.
I did not sleep at all.
I couldn't sleep a minute. Takaya knocked, but I couldn't sleep for 5 seconds. I mean, that was terrible.
I had to fight for the window seat.
But
I've never been on a plane before, so I really didn't have a seat.
But the gala, right? I mean, we were all holding hands and just being
shaking.
Like, we're waiting for this to drop. And as soon as it happened, it's like, we did it. That was an amazing feeling.
Once I heard our name, I got the sensation of like, you know, when you hyperventilate and you almost like get too much oxygen in you. It was like
my face was.
It was definitely like a vibration of how like of how much like peacefulness I got. Like once we won, I was like, oh my god.
The biggest weight like off your shoulders. It's like we did it, right? But all that is wonderful.
Yo,
Yeah. I remember that.
So loud.
He jumped up. Oh my god.
On FaceTime.
But we're gonna fast forward a little bit through. We did pastry that following December. You did duck. We nailed some gold medals, right? I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know how you two were gonna turn out. You know, the training camp wasn't your best training camp for those single comps. I mean, he struggled. That was a hard
I didn't hit over
dish.
70.
You didn't hit over 70. I don't know if you hit over 71 practice. The day of, you hit it.
Typically with me, I never hit 90s during practices. It's always
It took me till my second dish to actually hit a 90 practice. That was my last practice at the 90.
I only hit 90 practice one time. It was for the last practice when I took the spot.
Yeah, that was the same with me. I was practicing for that same competition, but I had the pastry one. I hit a couple 90s. I had that down pretty down pat. But and then skills, of course, that same day we had the silvers. There were no golds that day. We were very close to each other score wise, and we competed right in a line. I mean, I could never. I'm gonna look back in college and I'm gonna think of the three of us 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that pick of us, I think Asia took of us just in a line, like starting the chicken at the same time. Like, I don't care what medal. That could have been a certificate, but I was so proud to stand by these three people. And to this day, the fact that we're on this podcast together after everything, it's been over a year. It's been a year. It's been a year since we won nationals, pretty much to the day, right? It's actually to the day tomorrow, I believe, that we competed or about them. And it's been a year and we're still together, you know, even after. But in between the December Cup and now, we had some stuff happen. Mm-hmm. We did have a SCOY attempt from you guys, and tell me that story, how that went. What do you think? I don't want to say went wrong, but what do you think happened? You know, it didn't go the way you guys wanted.
Honest with you, I'd say it went wrong in certain aspects. After seeing the first silver during the knife skills, it got in my head like so much.
For December?
Yeah, you understand. Like, definitely not hitting that mark of gold once that skills. It was kind of like devastating to me. It was like, well, what's gonna happen now, or how can I improve?
Yeah.
But we didn't have much time after that either, so it was more so of like I had to give it my best shot, and
you guys gave it your best shot. To all your credit, you guys gave it your best shot 100%. The fact that you two drew right next to each other, it's like solidifies the fact that the three Stooges right there. I mean, how do you feel looking back at Student Chef of the Year now, especially a couple months after Nationals is happening? We're not there. We're in top 4. What's the feeling? I know it's hard, but it's definitely, I think it's something to gain from and learn from and reflect on, as I do my competition that didn't work out. Right, global, that didn't pan out for me. This didn't exactly pan out for you guys, I think, the way we all wanted it to, but I think there's something to gain from that. But if you could speak to that.
Probably my case was after Nationals got too hyped up, and then we were just too comfortable. I think we both were very comfortable with each other. We relied on each other too much, in my opinion. We helped each other too much. We weren't really competing for ourselves, we were competing together. Right?
Probably the mission was to get the title.
We never worried about ourselves.
Yeah.
But although there's good and bads with that, I just think that we were just too comfortable, both of us. We came off of a national championship. We were too hyped.
You think you guys were a little too? I don't want to say
back.
I wouldn't say. I was gonna say more of like a little overconfident. Like we won the national championship.
Maybe.
Like we're gonna kind of
Maybe.
smoke these fools, and you guys kind of had a setback. You know, but you did just score high. But it really was the nice because they definitely hurt you guys 100%. And that's not even coming back next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys know that. It's the knife skills for Student Chef of the Year is done. So I don't know if you guys would have been Final Four. Looking back, I'd have to double check. There definitely were a couple issues with both your dishes. But I know the paprikash that you did was like that was the best thing we tried that day.
Yeah.
Right. So 100%. And looking back on that, but SCOY's over and we're on break from comp technically, although it does not feel like a break. We're doing kiosk, right? We're doing the pastry stuff, right? That's been interesting, especially for you. The only one who hasn't competed in pastry.
Yeah.
We competed in pastry. You know, we killed it, especially me, best of show, obviously. But you know, Student Pastry Chef of the Year, Nessa, I can't say nothing. I got best of show. I beat her. That's all I'm saying.
It was
an
SB1.
Huh?
What?
It was SB1?
What?
SB1?
What?
Yeah, it should have been SB4 points more than you. That's what it should have been, right? Right?
No.
How frozen was that entree, huh?
It wasn't that frozen.
Wasn't that frozen? Wasn't
Yes.
that frozen? They just had to go a little. They were cutting through and then went, right?
Nessa's was more frozen than mine. And all I'm saying is she's going for student page chef of the year. Yeah.
I hope it's not frozen. Let's hope it's not frozen. Right?
Is she doing entree?
Yes, she did an entremet. Come on.
I didn't know she was doing that. No, I'm talking about for pastry chef of the pastry.
Yeah, she did
Yeah,
an
he
entremet.
hasn't really seen her prep.
Yeah, oh yeah, she does an entremet. Yeah, she does an entremet New Orleans
Let's talk
style.
about Petty Force. That was definitely one of the most
Petty
intricate. Or her first course. My apologies.
Her first course?
Yeah.
That like little drink thing?
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that was
That's
cool.
definitely really cool.
Yeah, I love her concepts. I mean, she's going, as we're recording this, she's going tomorrow. Team's done, and we got their critique today. I mean, I still feel as confident now as I did with them going into it. And I think
Definitely.
they're trying to retain our national championship, and hopefully by
will.
when this comes out, the answer will be out. But I'm feeling pretty confident about our chances of retaining the national championship for Monroe College. Back to back, hopefully back to back to back next year, right?
Back
We
to
already
back.
have some prospects for next year's team with a couple of them, right? But what does the future hold for you guys? I mean, I know what I want to do next semester. I know you touched on it earlier where you feel a little lost right now. But I know there's one thing that's in all of our futures, and Dean made this very clear to us. He said, I think your guys' next step is to become judges. And I still feel just as committed to that then as I do now.
Yeah, for sure.
And to me, that email, for me, that was powerful. Because I was like, he's always proud of us. Dean's always proud of us, always loves us. But sometimes it always felt like we were runner-ups to other people, right? That got a lot of praise and a lot of good things said about them. But when he says that to us, he's like, we might make our mistakes, the three of us, and we do some silly mistakes sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're the reliable ones. We're the ones who are still here every day. We're the ones who are in the back of kiosks. Still, we're dedicating our time, we're volunteering. We're trying to help new students out, and I'll continue to do that, not only up until when I leave this college in 2 semesters, but even after that. I'll be coming back here as long as I can, and they'll let me in, But you guys feel just as committed to the judging thing as you did?
Yeah, of course. Definitely.
100%.
It's a dream.
And you guys ready to, training camp starts, couple months, right?
Yeah.
I'm dying.
I know once it starts back up, it starts up fast.
Yeah, right? Tryouts is gonna feel like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening.
And who knows what opportunities they're going to get.
Yeah, who knows what
There's
opportunities.
competitions in October in upstate that Dean was talking about, so we'll see.
I feel comfortable in saying that. I think December is our next stop. I'll say that. But I think we know what we're gonna do. What's on the menu literally for you? I know a duck dish is coming my way. I've never done duck before. I wanna do for our first professional that we'll be doing together. Right?
I'm sure if I really want to ask on like Dean's perspective of what you think I should do, but my idea is either pastry or going into a fish dish. I've never done a solo competition when it comes to seafood.
Yeah. We fabricated tons of flatfish, but not as much roundfish.
Yep.
And that's definitely something you have had much experience like cooking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's definitely for me. I think I already know my 3 hot dishes I want to do: duck, Cornish hen, fish. Because I haven't really dealt with Cornish hen. I kind of feel weird not doing Cornish hen because you guys both did Cornish hen your first comp. I was the only one who didn't. I've always done chicken. I'm chicken. That's it.
Yeah.
So and you still plan on doing the dish my brother did?
Yes.
Yeah, the duck dish. I think that's going to be big. It's going to be really challenging, but at the end of the day, it should be. Because if you're not challenged, then what's the rub, right? If you're not making mistakes, then you're not getting any better because you're not learning anything, right? You're just doing it again, right? That's how I've always felt, and you have to take pride in those mistakes that you make. You know what I mean? That's what's going to get us far when we take pride in our mistakes.
Don't forget, we are going to be a little bit rusty.
We are.
In the
Listen,
window for a while.
we have not been in the window for a
Have not
while.
been in the window for a while.
I've been the most
At all.
recent, but even then, different for me. And it's been a while. It's just been a while. But the last time you two were in a window was scored. And that's the way to think about it.
Yep.
Because it's like, I used to be like, practice this, practice that, practice this, practice that. Always thinking about it. And now it's like, it's gone. And it's like, do you guys feel like the break? Are you guys like, I want to get back right now? Like, if he told me to prep Friday, I'd do it. Like, no hesitation. Are you guys kind of like, listen, I would, of course, but like, I'm kind of enjoying myself right now. You know what I mean? Like,
I got too much time on my hands. I would like to. I'll get straight into it.
I'm feeling I'm pretty genuinely busy, but I mean, I would do it in a heartbeat. But we went nonstop, month 1 till May of this year, March, whenever we all the you two stopped in March.
In March, yes.
Like nonstop for that long, it is crazy, and it's like, and it's exhausting. And
I feel like after Nationals we got burnt out. We needed that little break.
What field of culinary do you guys want to go into?
Definitely in the beginning line cook, because that's where I feel everybody should start, and then I want to eventually teach younger culinarians, because just doing it as a leader now, as like a team member and always helping somebody, I definitely fell in love with these past couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, the older I get, the more I love teaching. 100%. I mean, anytime I get the opportunity, like, when you feel like you actually taught someone something they didn't know, that's like such a beautiful feeling for me. Actually for him too, but I think I know what your future holds, Mr. Butcher. Right?
I would like to work at a fine dining area. I mean, I also agree with you guys about saying helping other people. But I feel like helping people who are actual like business owners who's out there.
Yeah.
Would need a little bit more assistance.
Yeah. There's tons of ways to help people.
You know.
But that's why I want to do either Harlem Children's Zone or Food Education Fund. I mean, it's helping underprivileged kids. It's working with them. It's training with them. Is that something you're looking at? I mean, possibly.
Well, I did one food education fund. I would definitely do it again.
You do it again.
Yeah,
that's good to hear. That's good to hear. We might. I think we're having her on as a guest. The person who helps run that. So soon enough, hopefully. I'm excited for that. But I mean, there's so many things that we could touch on. It's such a long journey. Is there anything that you guys feel like I want this got to be talked about? This got to be mentioned. Anything you feel like we missed? There's so much. I mean, I could spend a whole hour talking about how cool Vegas was when we went. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, we went from that horrible like motel with roaches. Dean's room smelled like cigarettes. Jeff P smelled like curry. I mean, that was awful. We didn't have bedding.
We didn't have bedding.
Until the next day, we didn't have bedding.
We put our own bedding.
No, we put like, they just gave us like more blankets or
We
something.
put the bedding on that was in the closet. So we had to do our own beds.
Yeah, we had to make our own beds. I don't tell.
Did we get a full refund back?
Probably. I mean, we deserved it. I mean, that was awful. And then going from that, compete, and then pastry chef next day, and then we go to the Flamingo, which is like this huge hotel. I mean, I was blown away. I remember the video we had going into our hotel room. Although we have this very interesting streak of every single hotel we go into, the bathroom door doesn't lock. No matter what hotel we go into, I don't care what it is, the bathroom door will never lock. I think we're like 3 for 3 on that. I'm not even joking. I'm pretty sure in Kansas it didn't lock. You could just open it. You hit lock and then you just open it.
I put the door in front of the bed.
Yeah, like
I put the chair in front of the bed.
Yeah, it's like, it's ridiculous. I don't know how we manage that. I mean, we've had to deal with some conditions, and our 3rd semester was rough. I mean, I'm not, this is no knock. The current team got help. They got help, and their schedule's a little different. They don't have dining lab with me. And that was like, dining lab, we could have a whole, I'll bring you guys on just to talk about dining lab. I mean, that was 2, especially the second half of this semester, 2 menus. I mean, I remember when our pastry chef, Takai, kicked the tarts. Remember that? And the tarts launched, the sheet pan tarts launched, fell, and then the tops popped off all of them. And I was like, oh my God. And then we just started plating the filling of the tarts on the plate without the tarts. Because I was like, we're not talking. And the succotash story. I mean, you guys remember the succotash? Listen, that's my fault.
Figure it out.
You gotta go into your station. If you're going into your station, you gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know what you gotta make, when you gotta make it, what you're prepping, how much you have, how much you need. I didn't have as much succotash as I needed. Of course, I was sauteing our first menu, right? Of course. Just like last semester when we were in dining lab. Just thought about that. We were also in dining lab together in the fall, so we did dining lab twice. But that was crazy. I mean, but the succotash. I mean, when he was just like, when I kept on, we ran out, but he wouldn't hear me. And I was like, we were out. He's like, figure it out. Because I ran out of the onions and bacon. I didn't use onions and bacon. I just used the rest of the ingredients and laid it in. And so I feel like I could do when he told me to figure out. That was the first thing that came to my head. I mean, looking back, I probably would have still done the same thing. What am I going to do? Running out of this render, get bacon, chop it, get onions, chop it in the middle of, we have order service. Yeah, I mean that was, but the reality is I should have had the prep beforehand going into it. But what's the juxtaposition for you guys? What's the difference from the first dining lab and the second dining lab that we did? Like, what was your feeling like going into it? Like the differences. Well, we did it. Well, because we did it ourselves as a team, 5 of us, and then we went in with like 11 people, right? And it was all the team except Kaylin was in a different dining lab, but then the 3 of us in Kennedy, and then a bunch of other of our classmates, not just our team members, or the team members that we have. So, like, what was your guys' like? What's the difference? Like, compare those two. For me, honestly, it's like it's so hard when you know you can't rely on everybody in your kitchen.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things that you could do in a kitchen. Because I knew, like, we all made mistakes, but at the end of the day, like, I'd take my chances trusting you guys any day of the week, any minute of every day. Like, I would trust you guys. But names shall not be named, but there were some people, it's like, come on, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's, for me, it's, I get very upset, and this is the one thing for me. If I'm serving people, if I'm serving customers, that's like a point of pride for me. Like, everything I put out, if it's going to a customer, that's so important. Like, that's our school, that's our reputation on a plate. We're serving up our reputation every time we send out a plate of food. That's why I get very upset with kiosk stuff or with dining lab stuff. I'm like, this needs to go out correct. I don't want anything set back. I get like embarrassed. I wasn't even working the pass, but we had a raw pork tomahawk sent back to us like 2 weeks ago. I wasn't on the pass, I was in the back at the time because Flatbreads was messing some stuff up. And I was like, I was embarrassed because I don't even want to, I couldn't look at the person in the eye that had that raw pork. It was like raw. You know what I mean? It wasn't like borderline. It was like completely raw. So I was like, that's just so hard for me to comprehend. Like, I get it, like mistakes happen, and I've done them, but it's embarrassing. I don't think we've ever been sent back a plate of food. I don't think we ever got sent back, in 2 semesters of dental, I don't think we ever got sent back a plate of food. Surprisingly, to be honest, I would have sent some stuff back probably, that we served out a couple times. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that's how I feel. But going back to our 3rd semester schedule, I mean, the practices that were in between all these classes, all these lectures and labs. And then I feel like the worst was Thursday morning always. Going into Asian cuisine, dining lab in the morning at 8 a.m.
That was definitely the worst feeling-wise, but I was definitely the most excited for that class.
I loved that class, but I wish I could have been like conscious for more of it. You know what I mean? I mean, there was one day. You remember he sent me home one day?
Yeah.
I was so sick. I was like deathly sick, and the thing is, you think, because Wednesday we just had prep in the morning always, right? Whatever. We usually came in a little later though, because we only had lecture at 5. On Wednesday.
Speaking of Asian cuisine, how tired we were. Don't you guys remember how everyone fell asleep?
Oh, how did we not even touch on that?
What?
We all missed class that day. Oh my God. Was that the last Asian cuisine before we went to nationals? Yeah, it had to have been. I mean,
that was the same week that we skipped.
there was literally the team. There was 4 people from the team in that class, excluding Caitlin, and then there was, because she didn't take that elective, and then Tina.
We practiced that day. That was the same day we practiced.
Wait.
93. That was the same day. We practiced that day.
No way.
Yes, we practiced that day because those 2 classes that went on huge.
No, didn't we have to ship equipment?
No, we practiced on that because.
Oh, it had to have been Thursday.
We went a whole week without competing, without practicing.
Yeah, right? You're right. He's right.
That was the same.
That was the same day we got.
It was the same day that those 2 big classes happened.
Yeah, because it had to have been Thursdays.
Yeah.
I remember that being Thursdays. I mean, that was, oh my God, because we all missed it. And I was like, my logic was I had missed 1 class, right? Because I don't remember. I think I was just gone for the day for some family obligations. And I was like, I have so much homework. And I'm the type of person, I'm usually on top of it, but I had so much homework to do. I was so overwhelmed. I was like, I just need to stay home and catch up on this stuff, man. I was like, it's an elective. I'm sorry. I'm going to miss a class. Then so Kennedy called me. She was late, but she asked me where I was. Because we were all like, it was towards the end of training camp. We were slogging at that point. So it was like, just physical, mental exhaustion. So she called me and I explained my situation. I was like, listen, I have to miss today. I just have to Like, because I woke up and I was like, I can't do it. I have to stay. I have to do some homework and stuff. And then she was like, oh, okay. Called back. 1 minute later, I just hear screaming. I'm like, oh no, I gotta get there right now. I gotta go. Right? I mean, it was like, where are you guys? It's embarrassing. And to be fair, like, looking back, like at the time I was like, whatever. But now it's like, imagine being a teacher, all your most dedicated students all don't show up.
Yeah.
It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't a collective like how it was initially interpreted. It wasn't like we all planned it, but it was just a horrible happenstance. And like, I felt bad for Chef Moon, to be honest. Looking back, like, he seemed genuine. He's like, why didn't you guys come? Especially because it's supposed to be like, that's supposed to be the class we look forward to. That's supposed to be the really fun class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we do what we want. It's just a couple of us. Like, I have fun every week in that class, and we eat some good food in that class, 100%.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, but that one day that we missed, it was just and we definitely paid for it, 100%.
We had to clean
We had to
every
clean
single
fridge.
He made us clean the
Top
fridges
to bottom.
instead of going to class. He was like, "There's no Asian, you're cleaning all the fridges." We did it. We did it. I don't know if you guys remember this. I went to the library. I actually broke down. I started crying. I started bawling my eyes out. I felt disappointed. I felt like I was disappointing him, and it was overwhelming for me. And I was like, I can't be here. I can't do this. I was like so mad. Chef T was like, you have to go. Like, just come down for a couple minutes. Like, just go into the back. Like, you're fine. We're gonna 10 minutes. I was so, you could see it on my face. It was like if the freezing situation, but I didn't express it, basically,
Yeah.
on my face. And then he was like, you gotta, like, it almost like a volcano about to erupt, right? He's like, you gotta broke down. And I remember my boss from Resla came and he saw me. He's like, you okay? I'm fine. I need a minute. I called my mom. I didn't even say anything. I just wanted to talk to her for a minute, get that comfort. But went back right in there, and then we had nutritional, right? We had some prep, nutritional, a little more prep, get the car ready. We did our run. We hit that 93, that last practice that we were just talking about.
Yep.
It's incredible. I didn't even realize that all happened on the same day. I mean, that's such an important day, and it's crazy to think about. All of this. I mean, I'm so proud of everything that we've done. I mean, I think this discussion is such a good reflection on everything and what's made us excellent going into everything. Towards the end of everything. We're getting to the point where last couple semesters, we're doing professional competitions. It's not what it was anymore.
Nope.
We're not, and the thing is, like, we're not all together every single day like we used to be. We are all definitely going down our own paths. Our patch converse, we're going down our own paths, but there'll always be intersections. There'll always be crossroads between those paths.
I hope it stays like that for the
And
rest of our lives.
I hope it stays like that as long as I am still breathing here. I never want to lose contact with you guys. I think it's pretty confident that we're all staying in the New York area. I mean, I'm super excited. Maybe New Rochelle for you, definitely the city for me, which is only a train stop away. Mr. Long Island over here is definitely staying over there, right?
You can't get out of the farm.
He can't get out of the
love
farm.
the
The
farm.
gardening stuff is big for you. You love it.
Love it.
It's so cool. The fact that you love butchering and farming, it all connects so eloquently.
The way you think about it, I believe nature is art. Every aspect of
100%.
nature is art, even when it comes to harvesting an animal, like showing respect to the simple anatomy of an animal. So you
Yeah.
have to show care and
Yeah.
respect when you use it. When growing agriculturally, my idea or thought of doing that was to keep my grandma from going to the supermarket. I really didn't like for my grandma to just go out and stuff like that. Instead, just why not have a supermarket in your backyard? And hopefully within over time, I'll get start my own chicken coop and take it on from there.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think your goal is to start like a butchering business that supplies your restaurant, right?
Yep.
I think that's an amazing goal. I think that's a solid goal. I can't wait to see you hit it. I will definitely be eating for free at your restaurant. I'm not paying a dime. I helped you out enough. I'm not paying a dime. The food education, so the educator stuff, I think is big for you. Do you think if you go into that, do you think high school or college level? What are you thinking? Or college level? Here? We did promise one day we would get that white
You
neckerchief.
gotta get the white neckerchief.
I think I should get it from just being TN. I think, yeah, right. I'll make him like a deal or something, like we did for the yellow neckerchiefs, the pastry ones. You don't have that one. Sorry.
Not yet.
Not what?
Oh, not
Wait till I
yet.
get my pastry.
Wait till you do your pastry. I thought you were so anti-pastry.
Thinking about over time, it's like if you want to be a good
That's
chef
a lot.
in general, you have to be good in every aspect. If you know what I
It's
mean.
his girlfriend.
That's
Oh,
your girlfriend is a pastry chef. But at the same time, you think Kias helped with that too?
Yeah.
100%.
It made me almost like gain a love for pastry.
You gotta, as a chef, if you want to run a kitchen, you're not gonna.
Yeah, 'cause if your
9 out of
pastry
10
chef calls
times,
out,
you're
what are you gonna do?
definitely not having no pastry chef.
What are you gonna do if your
Right.
pastry chef calls out?
What are you gonna do if they call? And also, like, the chef is always above the pastry chef. Always. There's not a the head chef of the kitchen is always above the pastry chef. That's the way our Lord Escoffier
What did he
intended.
say? Like the first class?
He said
chefs
I
are
don't.
up
He
here,
said
the chefs are up here, but the
pastry chefs are down here. Always. And if you're gonna run a kitchen and you want pastries, and I like my pastries, right? I'm not gonna run a restaurant probably, but if I do, I will have pastries. And I need to know what I'm doing. How am I gonna boss around a pastry chef when they know more than me? I mean, that's embarrassing. A pastry chef knowing more than me, that's embarrassing right there. I mean, I couldn't even believe that, right? We've talked about so much. I mean, I thought we'd go chronologically, we'd jump in as we remember stuff because the journey's been so long, but I mean, is there anything that you guys would like to add at all?
Do you remember the day that we had that argument in the library and Chef P stepped in? He was like, what are you guys arguing about?
What? I think...
That's when I put the strainer underneath the table.
Because you shouldn't have put the strainer underneath the table. How many times does Dean have to say, don't put something underneath the table? I actually know. I looked at you and during your mind, I said, next time you put something on the table, I'm going to slap you.
Yeah.
I'm literally just going to slap
you.
you.
But we had a whole to-do in the library.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest, like, I felt after that, I was like, we just yelled at each other and then we made up. Like, we had to get it out of our system. You know what I mean? All that pent-up aggression, right? 100%. Anything from you? Highlights, lowlights.
Yeah. When Chef Emily emailed at me because I put the little bowl of scallops under the table for literally 3 seconds.
If I saw that, I would yell at you too. I mean, 2-3 seconds. I don't know. That's rough, man. 2-3 seconds. That's a lot of time. You know how much I have in 2-3 seconds? You know that could immediately get bacteria on it. 2-3 seconds. You know what I'm saying? But it's a bad look. It is, to be honest. But you know, you learn from those things, right? 100%.
That's why we practice.
That's why we do what we do, and I'm so glad that I'm here with you guys. I think there's only one way to close this out. I think we got huddle up. I'm not gonna. Let's try to nail this, okay? Let's not up there. It's been a while, but let's not. We're still 2022. I know it's a different year, but we're still 2022. Let's do this. All right, bring it in, guys. Bring it in. All right, I'll lead us off. Is that okay?
All right.
Give me the honor. All right. 3, 2, 1. One team, one banana. The Culinary Institute of New York at Monroe College Student Team 2023. 3, 2, 1.
I thought you said 2023.
I did say 2023 by accident.
Oh my god. That was a little rough.
I'm used to doing it with the new team.